Here's your hosts, Pam Gray and Rochelle Allhaddon.
Welcome to Chat with Women. This is Pam.
Hi, this is Rochelle.
I'm so excited.
Why are you excited? Are we going to talk about sex? Is that why you're excited?
Yes, and I love her. If you remember, when we first met her, I said to Rochelle, I love this story. This has been about 4 years ago. I said, I really want to meet Dr. Pepper Schwartz. I love her. And Rochelle said, well, call her. I go, what do you mean call her? She said, well, we'll just call her. And so she calls her, and Dr. Pepper meets us for breakfast. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was like, and you know, I just admired her because she's somebody that makes life really positive, even through some difficult times, and sex is always positive.
Well, she talks about life. She makes life real. She allows us to go, I'm feeling that too. Her new book, Prime, is Sex After 50.
Hello.
You know, we all want to know about those things too.
Yes, we do.
So it's okay for us to have sex after 50. Keeps us young.
Well, and I want to know, I know she's probably working on some other new projects, which we're going to talk about this morning. But before we get...
She's a big spokesperson.
I know. Well, we'll talk about the fact that she's a big spokesperson for lots of products.
She's a very big person.
Well, not in size. In personality.
In our mind, Pepper, you're huge. You're just huge.
That's why I come here.
We love you, Pepper.
She likes to be loved.
We love her. So that's easy. We love her.
So we're going to be talking about a lot of things today. But first, joining us also this morning is Dr. Rob Goldman, who is a clinical psychologist. And we want to welcome you, Dr. Rob.
Well, thank you. Nice to be here.
We're excited to talk to you about marriage and divorce. And in the news right now, Al and Tipper Gore are getting a divorce. And that really has created a lot of big news because most of us look at them and love them and think 40 years is a long time. And they've actually made it for 40 years. I thought about Rochelle, who's been married 37 now.
Right.
Only 3 more years.
Only
you go,
3 more.
You're going to leave? I mean, that's when you think of it.
But you know, when I see Al and Tipper, you know what I used to, I remember them on the campaign trail and how they used to gather together. They'd dance.
And
they
kiss.
were so, yes, there.
Mm-hmm. A lot of kisses.
There was affection. It appeared genuine affection.
It did. And that was what was hard for me when I heard it. And both of them seem like down to earth.
Right.
Lovely. So what we want to talk about, Dr. Goldman, with you is, first of all, do you believe that when we've made it for 40 years, is it usually mutually agreed upon that you leave? I mean, 40 years is a long time to say I'm done. And I know they're only in their early 60s, so they're very young. They were high school sweethearts. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that?
I think that really, I do a lot of work with divorcing couples because I'm an attorney as well. And parties come to me and they seek divorce mediation. And what I usually find is that it's usually common where they don't come to the resolution of divorce at the same time. And one may have, in their own mind, divorced or separated a lot sooner than the other. So it's not usually common in the field that I've seen where they're mutually agreed at a particular time. Anything we say about Vice President Gore and Tipper really is purely conjecture, but in my experience, as far as what I've seen working with couples, it's not something that is mutually agreed upon where they both wake up one day and say, hey, you know what, it's not working out, let's get separated. Usually one is on a different page of the other.
Well, do you think divorce can be a positive life change after 40 years? And where does the personal growth come into play?
Well, I do think divorce could be positive if it's depending upon how it's dealt with. I mean, if the parties can resolve their conflict in a peaceful way and they walk away from growth in terms of change. Obviously, 40 years makes it probably a greater challenge for each of them to now break the routine. And, you know, there's comfort in anything, even if it's a destructive relationship where parents, stay together for their children for, 20 or 30 years. There's comfort in it, but at the same time, it could become very liberating. And the growth comes from finding the power to make the decision for the change and opening new opportunities for for each other.
Well, they are still young enough. I mean, we know we're all going to live to be 90 or 100
Absolutely.
these days. So they have a lot of years to keep having fun. You know,
right.
I mean, sometimes, and I think I have been divorced, so sometimes it's just done. I mean, it just is done. Who knows why, but it
right.
is just done. So let's talk about what do you think the 5 key techniques for developing a lasting relationship? Because we really all do, I think in our hearts, we really do when we get married, we think it's going to last forever. We really would like it to last forever. So here I am on my 3rd marriage. So obviously I haven't made it last.
You keep wishing and hoping.
I keep wishing and hoping.
Well, maybe by the 5th time you'll get it right.
Okay, I have 2 more?
Good, Dr. Rob.
Each year you practice one of these steps.
Okay, give me the 5 techniques.
So year 1, I think, is make sure that you that there's always communication. I think by that I mean that you never go to bed angry at each other. That there's always a way that you don't go to bed angry and resentful, so it doesn't breathe itself a new life in the morning.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
There's a lot of women in studio,
like,
Dr. Rob, and we're all rolling our eyes.
Please.
You know, that sounds really nice, but you haven't lived with my husband.
Come on.
And if you think I'm going to go to bed not angry when he's done what he's done to me.
Every night, I love you.
Yeah, that's your kid. I'm not,
No, my kid, my wife and kids, not my kid.
I'm telling you, that's tough to do.
Real
We're just
hard.
going to tell you that having been married for I think I'm at 22 years on this 3rd time around, I've gone to bed many times, Matt.
You have?
Oh.
See, that's why. Now you know.
That's why? You mean that's why I keep getting divorced?
That's right.
I see.
Oh, well, what are you going to say about me? I'm into this 37 years. I'm
and
not
how
divorced.
often do you go to bed angry?
A lot. If you lived with what I live with, you'd go to bed angry, too.
But you're still happy?
Oh, wait a minute. Dr. Pepper wants to say something.
Okay, just a collegial difference here. I think you're dead wrong. But, I'm saying that in a nice way. Because I feel like when people are angry, they really are ill-equipped to deal with anything. And
True.
they're much more likely to say something truly nasty that they regret than the next morning doesn't seem important at all. So, my preference would be that if you're ticked off and you're incapable of saying what you would say in a better mood, then you say, okay, I don't want to talk to you tonight, but tomorrow at breakfast or wherever we make an appointment for, we will deal with this.
Yep.
So for me, I think, don't do damage when you're furious.
Very good. We agree with Dr. Pepper.
But
Sorry,
that's
Dr.
You
Rob.
know me. I have an advantage here.
What's your next technique,
Well,
Dr.
let
Rob?
me back.
All right, you want to address that
right?
one?
Yeah,
Sure.
let me address that. Because I don't think we are equipped enough in our society and our culture and in marriage about when we're in conflict, how are we going to resolve conflict. And there's a good way of teaching people how to deal with conflict. That's what I do in my practice. It's called nonviolent communication. And there are ways to talk. In other words, by using observations, feelings, needs, and requests. So if your husband or your wife does something that upsets you, you speak first in terms of observation, followed by your feelings, and then your needs and your requests. So, for example, let's say, give me an example of something that pisses you off. Any one of you. Go ahead, give me a
okay.
topic.
Can I
Here
jump
goes
right in
Pam.
there? I'm going to tell you, when he makes a commitment to do something, if it's as little as pull out the coffee filters, and he doesn't do it, I get furious. I don't like being promised.
So wait a
something.
minute. So let's give it. So you talk about that in terms of observation, all right? Without saying you're a piece of whatever, say that is your observation. How is that? What's the feeling behind that observation? All right, you're pissed off. What need is not being met? Or maybe I didn't say you're feeling. What are you feeling? Is it because you feel being disrespected? Do you feel
disrespected and trust? There's the trust isn't there.
Right. So if you break down the when you have a conflict could be an opportunity for change and growth. And if you sometimes, well, I think most of the times when people are in conflict, they're unable to transform the conflict to understanding because both parties fail to understand the need and the feelings, because we go right through the jugular. We go right to your, whatever. Mm-hmm. But if you break it, things like that, and if the other party is taught about understanding, first seek to understand and then be understood, that's the key. So,
Dr. Rob, I'm going to stop you because we have to go to break, but I also want to say you're very logical and you're very calm. You've never been in my house in the heat of the moment.
Invite me over.
I would love to see you there. We want to thank you very much for joining us this morning, Dr. Rob. And we didn't get a chance to really go through all 5 techniques. No. You got us on the first one,
well,
Dr.
invite
Rob.
me and I'll come on the other ones next time, all right?
Okay,
thank
sounds
you
good.
so much.
All right. Thank you. Good luck, Dr. Pepper Schwartz. Take care.
Nice meeting you.
You're listening to Chat with Women. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Dr. Pepper is in-house. We'll be right back.